But I acknowledge in a past life that my name was Brad. I'm not afraid of admitting that. That's what my legal name was in a past life. My legal name in a past life was Brad. Whoopie-doo. Hello, fellers and dwellers. Welcome to Dwell On It. Last week, I believe it was, I ended up receiving a comment about creating a video about happiness in relation to an episode previously where just, how happiness is so much more prevalent in my life. And I was going into this recording thinking, today's the day. I'm going to go ahead and try doing a short on happiness. And it's been one of those types of days where you're yelling at the world about trans rights, and I'm just gonna table a conversation about happiness for another day. So we're gonna get right into the grab bag as usual. I also want to quickly introduce a little addendum to stuff in the past where I would be discussing fundraising for Shoppers Love You Run for Women and aiming to reach $1,100. Before I ended up uploading last week's episode, I added myself to another fundraiser, the Walk for Muscular Dystrophy, and what I've done for both fundraisers now is have a $1,411 goal for each. I'm still going to put links down below until the fundraisers are over, so if you would like to contribute for mental health awareness, and more specifically women's mental health awareness and women's wellness programs at Mood Disorders Association Manitoba, you can do that through supporting Run for Women. And if you would like to offer support for Canadians who are suffering from over 160 neuromuscular disorders, you can go ahead and add to the Walk for Muscular Dystrophy campaign, which is down as well. Like I said, goals for both are $1,411. The run is going to be on June 5th. The walk is going to be on June 11th. My birthday is going to be on June 7th, so it's just going to be a super fun week. And before we get started, remember, 3 things that I need from everybody. 1, subscribe if you haven't done that yet, because subscribing is going to go ahead and make sure to share with your own networks that this is stuff that they should see too. So you're doing me a big favor for that. And I am trying to reach at least 100 subscribers at this point because it does offer some passive benefits. So you subscribing is going to do a huge favor when it comes to advocacy and awareness. So please do me a huge solid and do that. And then 2, make sure to hit a like if you like the content. What liking does is it just influences the algorithms again so that other individuals who are searching similar topics know that this is something that is worth checking out. So you're doing me a favor by getting more people to see this with the push of a button, and it's a huge passive gain. So please do me a major favor about that. And then 3, share, please. There's buttons down below, or you can copy and paste the link as you see fit. Send it to your text or emails or social media platforms, whatever it would be. Share the message. The message doesn't get heard louder than it can get to unless you're doing me a favor and helping out in that regard. Subscribe, like, share, and let's see what this week has in store for us. How close and warm is your family? Do you feel your childhood was happier than most other people's? No. Have you gained or lost any habits since you started transitioning? Probably. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I know that there would be routines that I had that, would have just shifted accordingly, whether it was the amount of work that I did compared to the amount of advocacy that I do, and things like Epilator or IPL or whatever. But, at that time, HRT wasn't part of my life. And so, little things like that were really important for me to stay on a routine. But after, being on HRT for over 2 years, that's nowhere near as much of a priority for me anymore to keep in part of like the regular cycle, routine, whatever. But otherwise, day-to-day habits, I don't think so. Like nothing actively off the top of my head. I'm still the same person, right? When it's all said and done, I'm the exact same person. I'm just happy now, right? When it comes to working out, I work out because I like to work out. I like to be in shape and I like to be fit. And then, when it comes to eating, sure, I've eaten a lot more candy and pickles than I ever have before, but I don't think that counts as a habit. And when it would come to even things like playing games and whatever, I don't think that's a habit too. But no, I don't bite my nails anymore. Does that count? Right? So probably, but there's nothing I can really actively think of, what has changed in terms of a habit. Cool question though, right? Really cool question. How do you think you would do in The Bachelor, Bachelorette, Big Brother, Amazing Race, and the Zombie Apocalypse? Cool. Okay, cool. So here, let's break this down, and I'm going to take The Bachelor and Bachelorette, and I'll actually put that into 2 series. How would I do in The Bachelor? Well, for starters, I'm not into guys, so I wouldn't be on that show in the first place. And when it would come to the Bachelorette, I'm not into guys, and so I wouldn't be in the show in the first place either. And then even then, right, if I was the Bachelorette, that's still just not my style. I've mentioned before that, you know, the more I lean into it, the more it makes sense of me recognizing myself as demisexual. I'm not in the race, right? I'm not in the hunt, and I don't want to earn the affection of others. I work off of a spark, and their attractiveness to me is directly related to my emotional bond with them too. You're not going to get that over a scripted TV series at all, and there's no way that I would be able to fake it. I would not do well at all with Bachelor, Bachelorette. Big Brother, I would love to say that in the spirit of the game, I would do really well. In the spirit of our social world, I would probably do poorly. I know that there have been trans contestants in the past in episodes of Big Brother internationally and whatnot. Big Brother is, of course, you know, there's a lot of TV magic behind it, and unfortunately I'm not willing to play that game either of like allowing transphobia to happen here or there so that it gets some TV points and so on. I wouldn't play nice with that type of stuff. But if we were to take all of that away, and if we were to especially take away the principle of people being transphobic when there's no right for transphobia to exist and things like that, for Big Brother, in the principle of the game of being able to, you know, have negotiations and, you know, like just kind of like how it works, I'm good at that type of stuff. So I think that that would be fun, right? If that was, you know, to be realistic. Amazing Race, I would love to do. I really would love to participate in Amazing Race, and I think I would do very well in that. And I know exactly who I would like to do Amazing Race with as well, and I am really confident that if we were to do it, that's $250,000, whatever the prize is. I think that would be an absolutely fantastic experience, whether it's Amazing Race Canada or, you know, the Amazing Race, like the main show or whatever it would be. I think that would just be so wild. You know, I've got the social skills when it counts, but I've also got the push, the drive, the physical ability, right? And, you know, the creativity, the curiosity, the inquisitiveness, the memory. I don't know. Go ahead and name all these different types of games and challenges and this and that. And that's right up my alley. I love that type of stuff. Says the person who never watches Amazing Race, but that's aside from the point. Zombie apocalypse. I joked about it before in the past where I feel in a zombie apocalypse as well myself, I would do well as long as, you know, the whole aces in their places type of thing, right? By being able to, you know, recognize individuals who are strong agents at this, that, and the other thing when it comes to how do we go ahead and survive accordingly or whatever. Like, there's no way I would fight off a horde of 50 zombies at once, right? Like, I'm not going to go ahead and put myself on a soapbox like that. But when it comes to just being able to, like, okay, how do we get through this? I feel that I'd have a fighting chance to, you know, make something out of it. That'd be neat. I don't want to find out, don't get me wrong, right? But like, I wouldn't be upset, right, if I had to get put to the challenge. That's a fun question. I love that. That's awesome. Is there anyone whose company helps you forget that you're trans? I'd like to reframe this. I don't need help to forget that I'm trans. I know I'm trans, and I'm proud to be trans. So I don't look to be in places that can take that part out of my day-to-day living, my day-to-day acknowledgement of my reality. I am Taylor LaChrist. I am a trans woman. That's who I am, and I will never forget that because I love that. Now, I think the question might be along the lines of, am I walking on eggshells around certain people or whatever? And honestly, even to that point, I don't walk around eggshells anymore, right? I am who I am, and it's their responsibility to accept me, not my responsibility to be accepted. You know, there are some friends from a pre-transition life that are still, you know, friends with me today, and knowing that that is still just like nothing's changed is great. Like even then, right? You know, I'll experience the very, very occasional accidental misgendering by one's habit, and they know that it's wrong and they correct themselves automatically. But in the exact same way, sometimes I hear Taylor and I'm like, oh shit, that's me, that's right. So like, I get it. And it doesn't help me forget that I'm trans, but what it does is it just gives me an appreciation that they've gone on this journey with me. And I'm very grateful for that they're willing to do that as well. I think that's fantastic. And the same thing when it comes to people who've only known me after I've come out. I think sometimes those people are the ones that really stand out more because they only know me as Taylor. And to hear it just come out of their mouths so fluidly sometimes, they're like, oh yeah, that's right. You know, we've only known each other for 8 months or whatever it would be. I think that's probably the best way to answer that, but I really want to address the way that this question is phrased. I don't need anyone to help me forget that I'm trans. I love who I am. And I love that part of me is a trans woman. I don't love the challenges that the world puts upon and around me because I'm a trans woman, but I have never been happier. I've never been happier. And I don't think that I could ever imagine having a version of my life that would be even happier than how I am today and yesterday and will be tomorrow and so on. How would you compare how your life was headed before and after transitioning? Well, I could swear I was just talking about that a few seconds ago. I was miserable. I was perpetually upset. I felt my life was empty and meaningless, hopeless, probably gonna die alone type of life. Cranky old man that never wanted to be the cranky old man in the first place, but life would just force me to be somebody that I've never wanted to be until the end of time, until old age happens or whatever would come that way, compared to living my best life, compared to being excited to wake up. I was up at 2:30 this morning, right? Because I was up and I was happy to be up and I had stuff to get done. And in a past life, I sometimes couldn't get out of bed till 9:30, 10 a.m., right? Because there was no hope in my day. There was no point in my day. Everything was purposeless. My life is the best that I've ever had. It's been full of obstacles compared to a past life, of course, but, you know, the amount of networking, the amount of engagement, the amount of excitement, I guess is the word that I want to use. It's not a happy word, but there's always something going. There's never a dull moment, pretty much, type of stuff. I've never been happier, and I couldn't ask for a better life now. And I'm so grateful that me from a past life hung in there, because this is my best life. I'm so excited to even just be able to answer this question. That's where my life is. If you asked me this question before, right? If you asked me this question in a pre-transition life and said, imagine you transitioned, how would you answer this question? I wouldn't be able to answer that question because I wouldn't be able to imagine that this is reality, and I wouldn't even allow myself to pretend to imagine it's a thing because I didn't imagine it'd be real. I didn't want to just play make-believe and let myself down. I'm excited to answer this question because that's how happy I am with my life today. Have you ever referred to yourself by your old name? Yes, all the time. Now let's add some context to this. Have I ever directly referred to myself as my old name in like head conversation? Like if I stub my toe, do I go, oh, damn it, Brad? And I'm like, no, definitely not. But I acknowledge in a past life that my name was Brad. I'm not afraid of admitting that. That's what my legal name was in a past life. My legal name in a past life was Brad. Whoopie-doo. I don't get upset or triggered or offended or anything by my old name. And honestly, like I was just saying not terribly long ago, how sometimes, you know, when people will go ahead and address me as Taylor, even though it's been Taylor for a while, right? And like it's been Taylor for a long time, as a matter of fact. My name wasn't Taylor the day I got my birth certificate. I think it was 2017 when I landed on Taylor being my chosen name, and so it's not like it's just I'm getting used to it. Like, I've had this name for quite a while. And so still to this point where sometimes people will be like, hey Taylor, I'm like, oh yeah, hi, that's me. So again, right, like when it comes to referring to myself by the old name, it's not gone. It's not my legal name. It's not my chosen name, simple as that. It's not a hall pass for people to call me by my old name because it's not my name, right? We respect my name, we respect who I am. My name is Taylor Elizabeth LaChris. But remember, I'm 40 and sometimes life just happens. I still happen to have my old email address still forwarded to my current one because who knows what still needs to get done and updated. Probably have some stuff in my sports stuff, right? With, you know, Brad written on it for here or there. It's around, right? But like, I understand how some trans individuals do everything they can to completely delete their pre-transition life from their chosen life, and all the power to them for that, because if that helps handle their steps going forward, do it. I wouldn't be where I am without who I was. So I just allow that to be part of me. Is there anything that people assume about you once they find out you're trans? Probably. Have to ask them, not me, because I think that would just enter all the automatic stereotypes of trans individuals. When it comes to like what they assume about me, I I don't know. I don't have random by chance encounters with people, so that is like already kind of like an X factor on things already. And again, right, a lot of it has to do with how COVID has affected, social lives all around us right now anyway, but I don't introduce myself randomly into a social group and then, everything's fine for a little while, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, that's Taylor's trans, and all of a sudden their behavior changes. If I'm being somewhere, there's already a likelihood that who I am is established. So I don't think that there's much that I do that surprises anybody. And then if anyone finds out that I'm trans after the fact, it's probably in a scenario that is completely irrelevant to how they would be treating me anyway. Let's say if I was at a grocery store or on a bus or whatever, and then somebody recognized that I was a trans woman, I'm at a grocery store anyway. What they think about me is irrelevant, so I don't really put too much thought into that type of stuff. But I'm sure that people assume many things about me, and again, they're the better people to ask than me, because that's them with the stereotypes, not me fulfilling everything that they're probably super wrong about. What has been the most fun part about transitioning? What has been the most fun thing you've done and the most fun you'd like to do? It's really funny how I started off by saying that I doubt that I'm going to do an episode just about happiness, and there's so many questions that keep going back to happiness, so this kind of counts. The most fun part about transitioning? Being me, being happy, this being quiet. Honestly, to just, like I said earlier, I woke up at 2:30 in the morning and I'm happy with that. I'm happy to just live. That's fun, right? I'm sorry that it's not a parade or a whole bunch of balloons or whatever, but that's to me, that's the most fun stuff. Some people could think things like getting nails and whatever done, or, getting piercings and whatever, and cool, if that's your version of fun. For me, there are things like I'm super happy with having the glam and this and that, but, I got the things done as I wanted to get them done, and I carry on with whomever, and I say this with as much empathy and mindfulness to all of my texts, because I do love your work, but I'm sure we all know what I mean, that, when I'm getting my nails, I get my nails done. I love having my nails done. It's a byproduct of transitioning, but I didn't transition so that I can get my nails done. And honestly, the most fun part's just living. Shoveling snow on my balcony is fun, because I'm happy. In a past life, let's say I was just having a weekend to myself. It was pre-transition tailored, loafing around the place because, I had a weekend to myself and I just wanted to feel a little more comfortable. And then if I wanted to go ahead and shovel snow on the balcony, I would have been really cautious and shy because I didn't want people to see that I was in a pre-transition state. I was scared and nervous, afraid of being judged or whatever. And now, fuck it, I'm shoveling some goddamn snow because I want the snow off my balcony. It's those types of things, to just be free and liberated and happy and just good. That's my most fun thing. Being alive. What's the most fun thing you've done? Well, being alive. But honestly, again, if it amounts to anything, when it comes to being related to transitioning, there's nothing that I've done that is directly related to transitioning. Nothing that I have done in life has been only provided from being me today. Now, don't get me wrong, when it comes to stuff like being on the Two-Spirit, Transgender, Non-Binary, plus Equity and Inclusion Committee for Sport Manitoba, for sure, that's something that I wouldn't have done without being trans, but I didn't transition to advocate on that committee, for example. And the same thing with other committees that I've been part of, just other studies or conferences or networking or this or that or whatever. Those things just happen to be parts of life, but they're not transition based. Again, the most fun thing that I've done, wake up. It's nice to be able to do things and just feel like me. I'm not feeling like I'm doing something that I'm not happy with. Like last year, for example, even going to the beach. It was just nice to go to the beach and wear something that I wanted to wear and be comfortable with, instead of wearing what was socially expected of me at the time. Just honestly, to just live. How many more times can I answer? That's the most fun thing that I've done. Live. The most fun thing I'd like to do, live. Honestly, if it amounts to anything, my goals is to use my life experience to create meaningful change so that young trans individuals, and even trans individuals around me right now who don't have the utilities or the tools or the assets to transition or have the resources or support that they have a right to, I want to do what I can to help provide that by using my life experience, as I mentioned, and my leverage, my ability to create that change. And that's fun for me. What I do, it's a labor of love. It's I do my full-time job, I've got my advocacy work and my grassroots group, Higher Weller. I work out as often as I can. I fundraise. I have important people in my life who I do everything that I can to help take care of. And then after all that, the leftover free time is probably back to the grassroots to go ahead and continue to help grow Higher Weller or figure out how to, use an angle to negotiate or amplify or advocate for this or that or the other thing. And those are all labors of love. Sometimes I burn out. Absolutely. Sometimes I get frustrated because our system sucks, for sure. But I'm loving my life. I'm happy. I'm proud of who I am. And I'm going to continue to do that because I feel great. That's the most fun thing I like to do. Well, that was really fun. Speaking of, go figure, I really enjoyed this. This was wild. I hope that I get more like this. It's just such a good mood after, like I said, having a really, really, really long day of advocacy so far. Honestly, I loved it. If you like this content too, please do a major favor. Hit like or love or whatever it is on the platform you're watching this on. It's going to mean an absolute ton. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Again, I'm personally trying to reach 100 subscribers on YouTube, so if you haven't done that yet, please jump over to my channel if you're not watching it on that, Halo Lacris. At 100 subscribers, there will be some passive benefits which will help an absolute ton when it comes to advocacy and awareness work. So your help is really meaningful for me, and it's a passive gain. So please, please, please hit that subscribe button. If you're watching this on Reddit or Instagram or wherever else I throw this, please make sure to do that because I need you to help me get this message heard. And like I said, likes and subscribes are the easiest ways to continue making sure that message is heard. And that said, share too, please. Hit the share button on whatever platform it is that you're watching this on so that your networks can see this too. And otherwise, you can copy and paste a link in text messages or emails. Even go ahead and take the chapter bookmarks and share those with some of your friends too if there's areas that you think that they really should listen to or like or however it may be. Again, I need your help to get this message heard by more people. So remember, please, every episode, like, subscribe, share, and every episode by doing that, it just continues to remind the machine that these videos are worth being heard by other people, and your passive effort is my massive gain. Love it. Please help me out there. As always, that I keep talking about some links in the description, so now there are 3 to take a look at. There's one that's going to be Run for Women, which supports Mood Disorders Association of Manitoba. There's going to be one for Walk for Muscular Dystrophy. Both of those are fundraisers that I'm taking part of. One's on June 5th, one's on June 11th. I'm trying to raise $1,411 for both, so please click the link. It's an online donation, and you do get a tax receipt for whatever your contribution is, and I really appreciate the support for either or both of those. And when you're done, please don't hesitate to share those too. And then of course, as always, there is a link to an action page hosted on Nimode, which is a call to action to the political leaders in your area. Enter your name, your email address, your postal code. It takes less than a minute, less than 30 seconds. I think I did it once in 14 seconds. You can do it 3 times a day. And what that does is it sends a message to your elected officials in your area, and it lets them know that improving the corporate social responsibility of businesses, organizations, and companies is majorly important, especially considering the climate of the country that we're in right now. There's an accountability that must be upheld, and we can't create that accountability to be held if we don't tell our elected officials that we see them and it is expected. So click that link. The message is already prepared. Name, email address, postal code, hit send. Share that when you're done as well too, so make sure that that message gets heard too. Lots of sharing today, but hey, that's how the world is sometimes. Take care of your neighbors, right? Thank you so much for taking the time with me today to watch this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to have any questions of your own added to a future episode, please put them in the comments or send them by DM. I would love to add them to the grab bag as well too. There is new content that's being sketched out, and I'm really excited about working on that too, so please make sure to stay tuned on that. And otherwise, let's wrap up. You have a good night. You have a good rest of the week. I'm going to look forward to seeing the changes that you're able to help provide, and we will see what the grab bag has in store for us next week.